Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Alice.
Hey now.
Greg, what are you doing here?
Hey, what do you mean? Allison,
Where'd you come from, Greg?
I came from the world of Childish, and I just want to make sure that your listeners know that you're just as wonderful on the other podcast you do.
What if they don't have kids?
Don't need them. You don't need them. A lot of our listeners actually tell us they don't have kids. We talk about sex.
We talk about all sorts of dirty stuff, but also parenting stuff.
Yeah, so.
Check out Childish. New episodes every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Maybe I should have got it fixed. Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her the good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Very, very excited to introduce my guest. But first, I must chat with my producer, Tony Thaxton. I have a lot of updates for him. Tony, how's it going?
I'm good. I believe you mean, I'm sorry, but again, I need to remind you, you need to talk to the bad boy of podcasting.
Why do I keep forgetting?
I don't know. I don't know how it's possible
It's such
to forget that.
I mean, it's like, you think of bad boy, you think of Tony Thaxton, you think of podcasting, you think Tony Thaxton. And yet when I'm staring at your face, I sometimes forget. Again, it's because I get flustered because you're so bad.
Yeah, I'll let it slide. But that's 2 times now, I think. 2 times in a row. So.
What kind of bad boy stuff have you been doing? Last time we talked, you loudly broke a chair at a concert, at an outdoor concert.
I haven't broken any more pieces of furniture. Yeah, nothing. I've been trying. I felt like that was kind of my bad boy. That really was my bad boy quota for this past week. I felt like I didn't want to push it too far.
You got to ration the bad, especially as you get older. No offense.
Hey, now.
Do you feel like this is your most bad boy era, or do you feel like your bad boy of podcasting self, like, your heyday was in your younger years?
I mean, I don't think it's my place to say.
You're right.
I think really just let the people judge on their own.
Yeah. I want them to let us know. Tweet at ARIYNBF and let us know when Tony's heyday of being a bad boy was.
Can't wait to see those responses.
I know, me too. We need Paul Rust here to come up with some really good hashtag. What should it be? Yep, it's not happening for me right now. That's just not happening. So I must address something in a moment. But first, I must address the other thing, which is this video is on YouTube, youtube.com/Allison Rosen. And I don't know what happened because I looked a certain way in the mirror, fine. And now that I'm looking at my hair is not doing what I want it to. My face isn't doing what I want it to. I think I'm overly lit. My guest, who you guys will see, thank you, but it's your job to say that. My guest, who you guys will see in a moment, is a professional and has a much more professional lighting situation, or just always looks beautiful and natural. And we'll get to that in a moment. Tony, something momentous happened for me yesterday, or possibly the day before. It was yesterday.
Okay.
I almost texted you.
Ooh.
But then I thought, no, I'm going to keep it fresh for the pod.
All right.
Would you like to guess?
Well, based on pattern, I'm going to guess this is bug related.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to guess that the millipedes are gone.
No. Oh my God, I would love that. No, the millipedes are not gone so much that I almost reached out to you and asked if you could put together a little ditty about millipedes. But then I thought, since it's the update that we start the show with so frequently, I thought it should have its own song. But then I thought, but if I do that, I'm just giving in to never being free of millipedes. Yet still, I don't know if you're feeling inspired, but I might need you to whip up a little millipede ditty because something even worse than ever before happened. I did not yet step on one in my bare feet in the bathroom, that's that's when I'll know it's time to shuffle off this mortal coil. No, but I got up out of bed. Daniel was still in bed sleeping. And what do I see? Just, what's the word? Slithering up the wall near my pillow on my side of the bed, but a millipede.
Great.
Happy
They're making
fat
their way to
little
the bedroom.
millipede.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I know. It's wonderful. It is wonderful. And I say, okay, this is no big deal because, and that's not how I feel, but I've had to adopt that attitude so I don't lose my mind. And I'm like, I'm just going to take this little guy and I'm going to put him outside because, you know, as I've said on every single podcast since it happened, I was read the riot act by someone who feels that I should not be killing millipedes. I should just be carrying them outside because it's not their fault that they're lost. So anyway, I take the toilet paper. That's been my, it's like my little millipede gurney. So I take the toilet paper and I'm hoping that he'll just crawl onto the toilet paper. But you want to know what, get your dun 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 ready. You want to know what happens instead?
What happened?
All of a sudden, I heard a plop and the millipede fell from the wall onto my bed. And I didn't know where he went. All I knew was he could be on my pillow. He could be in my covers. He could be in the blanket. He could be on the flat sheet. I've got all the components of a bed. And the lights were still out because Daniel was still sleeping, but I had to turn on every single light I could.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, let me find him. And then I did find him. He was curled up into a tight little ball, like a little cinnamon roll of millipede, a little, you know, what is that? Little circle. And so I picked him up and I flushed him and I'm not going to feel bad about it. That was my cockroach removal method. Yeah, there's a poem. I forget what it's called. It's by Nikki Giovanni. Oh, it's about killing a spider. And then at the end, it's like, I don't think it's okay to kill something just because you fear it. And it's not just about spiders. It's about, you know, a lot more than that. But it really made me take stock of my behavior towards millipedes. And I don't think it's okay. Also, I should point out with all our ped talk, Tony, I don't know how much you traffic in the world of Q and that kind of stuff. I don't, not very much for me, but no. I think they use the term peds to mean pedophiles. So I use it to mean millipedes, which I feel like is really way more accurate. But I don't know if
pronunciation there.
Yeah, maybe that could fit into your song somehow. Or I mean, I'm just pointing it out. Just pointing out that maybe the QAnon people and I really don't have that much. I mean, maybe we have more in common because we're both obsessed with peds.
Watch it there. Choose your words wisely.
And and then, you know, there were some other run-ins, but nothing as bad as one dropping into my bed. I mean, just the kerplunk. This is what it sounded like. I'm going to do some Foley work. I just banged myself. Okay, this is what it sounded like. Well, it didn't sound like that at all, but it was awful. Tony.
Great.
It was more of a thunk, but much quieter.
Yes,
was that loud? Let me try that again.
Okay,
imagine you're trying to carry a millipede outside, and then all of a sudden you hear this. That's pretty close. All right, enough of this. We've made my guest wait for too long. This is someone I have been following for years. I'm very excited to welcome to the podcast, comedian, actor, influencer, master impressionist, author of this book, Funny How It Works Out. It is Manon Mathews. Put your hands together for her. Pew, pew, pew. Hello, welcome.
Thank you. You look beautiful. What are you talking about?
My hair is flat. My face is over. It's like glowing too much, but thank you.
This is window lighting.
Natural lighting.
That's a really good time.
Yeah. So, Manon, I have been following you. I think I first discovered you you were on a show called Funniest Wins, right?
Yeah.
That was a reality competition show because I looked it up because I was like, what was that show? In 2014. And it was sort of like a Last Comic Standing show, right?
Yeah, it was like a combination of different types of comedy. So we did stand up, and they're like basically like who's ever funniest in all these scenarios with pranking and characters and comedy shorts and stand up, then they are definitely the funniest if they can do all of those things. And yeah, that was with so there was some people from Vine, myself, Christina Pazinski, who's Tom Segura's wife.
Yes, friend of the
Tiffany
show.
Haddish. Yeah. The winner was Sydney Castillo. It was hosted by Marlon Wayans. On the show, I got to roast Ray J as Kim Kardashian, and that's the competition that I won. That was very special. I didn't know who Ray J was, and Marlon was like, "You don't know who Ray J is?" And I was like, "No." So I had to do my research, and then I came out as Kim Kardashian. And then after the show, he hit on me, and I was like, "I'm not Kim."
Oh, wow.
It was kind of, well, he had his manager ask me what I was doing after, and I was like,
Got it.
No,
You're
Ray
like,
J.
Not you. Was that a fun experience?
No.
How come?
I don't want to compete. First of all, like I at the time it just felt like, oh, this will be fun. You know, some of my friends are doing it. It'll be good exposure. I'll get to meet Marlon. Like, cool. I'll be on TV. So that was my thought process going into it. But once I was finally there, I think it started off kind of fun. Like like writing comedy and performing was easy and fun. It was just all the in between of all the off the side interviews where I started picturing like The Bachelor. I was like, oh my God, they're going to edit this to make me look like a fool. And I just had so much anxiety. Like, I don't know. I think it could have been fun, but my mentality around it was just not great. I was just not having a good time. And
right.
we couldn't see our parents. We were sequestered in a hotel. And so for a month, and I was like, I need like the things that make me feel comfort right now, because, you know, I'm in a situation that's uncomfortable and the unknown, and what are they going to edit it like, and all these things. And then it ended with me getting the flu, which was horrible. Like, I was there for a month, and then I made it, like, I was in 6 of the 8 episodes. And then the last day when I got voted off, which, I mean, there's been some people that don't agree with the fact that I got voted off, but that's okay. But that night I got the flu. So I actually think the universe was like, get her home. Because then I had a ulcerative colitis flare up for a month and had to reevaluate my health. Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty bad. I think it was from stress, though. So and mixed with, you know, the flu.
Right.
Fun talk.
Did they end up editing you in a way that you didn't like?
Not so much. Maybe one episode I cried, and then they like put that in there, and then one guy was like making fun of the fact that I cried, and then it was like it kind of made me look. It could have, you know, I don't know how it actually made me look. I only can see my perception of it, so I'm pretty sure people watched and they're like, "Aw," but my perception was everyone to be like, wow, she's a little bitch, you know, like what a wussy. But I cry at everything. So like now I'm more comfortable with that. Whereas back then I was like, you can't see it. Because it's a funny show. It's all comedy. It's like not emotional. This isn't The Bachelor, you know? So
right.
Like no one's trying to edit it to make you look bad. Like they just want you to be funny. Like it's a comedy. And so, yeah, it was just weird. It's not something I think about much. I also, again, I don't want to compete. I want to be on a sitcom. I don't want to be like competing to prove that I'm funny, you know, like,
right.
So there's a comedy competition show that's out there now, and they've asked me to be on 2 seasons. I'll never do a comedy competition show again, ever. Cause it's just not it's not fun. It's like, I want to be free. I want to be on SNL or a sitcom or something where I'm part of a team, not pitting each other against each other. Right.
Something that resonated with me from your book, which I am holding up to the camera. Funny how it works out. In the back, you have some, what would you call them? Like lessons in manifestation is what you call them. And just some, you know, life tips that you've picked up. And you mentioned that having a morning routine is really important to you, because if you just go straight to the phone before doing something that brings you joy and sort of thinking about stuff having your own time, then that leads right into you doing compare and despair, which is something I've been talking about on the show recently. I've been talking about that. I've been talking about trying to free myself of the need for external validation, but also I'm almost thinking I shouldn't talk before actually doing anything about it, but I'm going to. I've been thinking, do I want to write something about that, or do I want to do a podcast series about that, or maybe just one podcast episode? Because I'm really trying to figure out what is the healthy relationship with approval and with external validation, because we are social creatures, and it would be a lie to say that that we can live completely free of the need for other people to approve of us. Or maybe it's not a lie. I don't know. What do you think about all of this? And where are you with all of that?
Yeah, well, first, I think yes, of course, I think it's important to always take that space in the morning, because apparently how your morning is determines the way that your day is going to go. And if I'm starting the day in comparing my numbers to another person on Instagram, or seeing somebody in, Hawaii, and I'm not there, and automatically I'm in defeat and not good enough, my day is going to be carried with those thoughts. But if I start the day, the first hour of power, you take your day before your day takes you, you can meditate, you can do self-care, nurturing things to where you're setting yourself up for success, so you feel like you're aligned with your power or whatever. So I don't think it's realistic to just not need approval from anybody. I think the trick is to look at it in a way of, well, how do I know that they're approving of me or not? Is it just because they're how do we know we're being approved of? Or is it a story that we're telling ourselves in our head that they are approving? But so much of it for me, even nowadays, I'm learning I've lived so much of my life because of trying to please people. And it's not even, they don't care. They're not thinking about what is Manon doing. We're all thinking about ourselves. And so that's why I say it's most important to become best friends with yourselves, to know how you feel about something before taking it out into the world, because that's the opinion that matters most. That's the one that's been with you this long. It's going to be with you until the day you die. So if you don't become best friends with you, who will? No one knows you like you know yourself. And so once that relationship is nurtured, then I kind of feel like people's approval, it just doesn't really matter. I mean, if I was waiting for that, I wouldn't have posted anything, because I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it matters more what you feel about it than what other people think about it. And if they approve, great. And if not, doesn't matter, because you're going to do you.
You mentioned that you lived so much of your life as a people pleaser. Where do you think that came from?
Only child. My parents were very funny and yet very sensitive. And I think that they put a lot of pressure on themselves, as parents do, to do the best that they can. And so when they saw their daughter crying or having a hissy fit or whatever, they internalized that, and they were probably thought, oh, I'm not a good enough parent, because if I was, she wouldn't be unhappy. And I too had that same thought, is, oh, if I were a better child, then look, dad wouldn't be angry or whatever. And I made it about me and took it personal. And so I started just adjusting my authentic behavior to please the people around me. So if I just was quiet and I would withhold, then they would be fine. But if I emoted, then they would have a reaction, and that reaction would turn into conflict, and I don't want conflict. So I'll just be quiet. I spend a lot of my time, even though I'm wacky online, I also don't speak a lot of the time, because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want conflict. I avoid, a confrontation at all costs. I don't like discord. I just want peace and harmony, because I feel everything. I'm a very sensitive person, as I think a lot of us are. And I think we all do this. I don't think this is unique to me, but I think that's where the people pleasing started.
Well, that's heavy. I relate to it. No. I don't. No. Heavy in a. I just mean I'm reacting to it because I'm relating so much to it. I talk about stuff like that all the time on this show. But more and more, I've been thinking about and reading about and working on in therapy this idea that as children, our job is not to put our parents' emotions and needs before ours. but that's hard, you know.
Yeah, because we're around them. If they knew better, then they would have done better, and they would have been able to be like, hey, me yelling, that wasn't about you. Please don't take that in. I'm going to do better to yell over there or to do it away from you because I know that you're a child and you don't know how to process it. But like what parent, like now we're all into self-help and therapy, but guaranteed 20, 30, 40 years ago, no one was doing that shit. They were just like doing their best and they would just scream when they wanted to scream and they didn't realize how it is affecting the child. And then they didn't learn how to apologize. You know, like if my dad would yell at me, he wouldn't sit me down and be like, man, and it's because I'm unhappy and I took it out on you and I'm so sorry and that's not yours and I'm going to do better next time. He would just like yell at me, say, go to your room, and then come in the room and then open his arms and expect me to hug him. And then I would resentfully hug him and then hold on to this, like, you know, because you come in the world trusting your parents. And then at some point they lose your trust, right? Until they amend it and do better. But most, I don't know. So for me, that's how I process is like, oh, you're my hero. But then I lost trust in you and now I'm resentful. And how do we process this? And then it shows up in every single relationship moving forward because the first 7 years are the most impressionable time for humans.
Right. And for me, it was just there was this incongruity because I couldn't assimilate it with the, you know, wisdom or realizations that an adult would have of like, oh, you know, you guys were very human and not perfect. But as a child, it was just like, but I have them on a pedestal, but sometimes they do things that make me feel bad. And I didn't know how to make sense of it at all.
Yeah. And for me too, like when I would emote or have feelings, oftentimes it was met with them taking it personally and then they wouldn't know how to hold the space for me. And so instead of being like, that's okay, let it out, I got you, they would be like, oh my God, she's hungry. Oh God, man, and you're just so sensitive. And then I would shame and internalize, oh my God, I must be a horrible person for not only feeling, but just existing because look, my presence is angering them. Yeah. And so that's why I started drinking at 16. I mean, that's not why, but when I found alcohol, I was like, oh, this feels good. I feel like a kid again. I'm not thinking about who to what. And so, but I think that's it. I think like, so the relationships that I'm in now, I make sure that we all just say, I got you. And we don't judge. We don't respond like, oh my God, you're crying. We just go, yeah, that's fine. That's nice. And we just, you know, we're learning to hold the space better for each other. I think as a whole, hopefully, I can't say that for everybody, but like that's a healing tactic for sure. To just allow a person to be where they're at and not try to fix it.
Yes.
Not try to tell them what they should be doing. Like, no, nobody wants that. They just don't, unless they ask for it, unless you've like grieved it. And then you say, okay, actually, no, I am looking for advice. But most people give advice without knowing that the other person actually didn't want advice.
Right. Because I think they're uncomfortable hearing someone's emotion about something and they think that that's the way to fix it.
Yeah.
Man, you and I really have everything figured out. And it's other people, I hope they catch up. You ever feel that way?
They are so behind, and I'm the queen of the universe. And if everyone would just do what I did, then they would have a better life.
But it's like we're so advanced. It's incumbent on us, I guess, to like be at their level. But it is hard sometimes.
Yeah, I always have to drop down significantly to interact with the humans.
Yes.
And then at night, I float back up and become the angel that I am.
Yes, but same, girl. Hence, it's such a pleasure to talk to someone else who's at the peak of enlightenment as I am. What was school like for you?
Well, it was great until I moved. Until 6th grade, my parents decided to pluck me out of Sherman Oaks, and then we went to Calabasas, which was fine, except that I didn't have any friends, and it was a very rich school, and we had money, but like, not compared to the people that lived in gated communities. So I just felt really alone. It was actually pretty horrible because I was stripped away from something that I was so like comfortable being myself with. And so I felt like I had to recreate my identity, but I wasn't recreating something that I liked at all. I became really quiet, withdrawn. Occasionally I would tell jokes, friends would laugh. The only thing I was really powerful in was dancing. I always have felt free dancing from birth to now. I don't think that'll ever go away. but my personality definitely dipped from moving. And I cheated a lot in school. I was too nerve-wracked. I would eat powdered donuts out of my backpack. I couldn't pay attention for the life of me. Unless I sat in the front, which finally I realized, I can't see far away. And that was a huge problem. And I never knew that I saw differently than other people. And so I remember one year I sat up front because the teacher yelled at me for talking in the back. And then I was able to see the board and I did really well on the math test. But yeah, I was not a great student. Because I was so concerned about people liking me again. It was just I just wanted to fit in so badly. I still do all the time.
I felt that when I went to college. I was like, how do we have a social life and do work? And one's more important, and it's having a social life. That's how I felt at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I went to Santa Barbara City College. It was all about drinking and partying and just going out. It was sometimes I just skip class. I was like, this doesn't matter.
Now, you said that you still want to fit in.
Yeah, not to the degree that I used to. But, I'm alone a lot of the time, or I have my group of people that I feel like no matter what, I'm always connected. But yeah, if I'm around humans, I say that I'm pretty confident now, cause I don't know, sobriety gave that to me, but I still want there to be unity. I still want to feel connected to everybody. And I look at ways that I'm similar to people to kind of fit in. Cause neurologically, that's the way to do it. Just find me up in the angel stars because I just know everything. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's not causing a huge detriment in my life, but of course I always want to fit in. Yeah.
When did you start performing?
I was always performing, but I got a camcorder when I was really young, and then I learned how to edit at 12. So I was making videos from a pretty young age. And then I picked up performing again about 20. And then I started doing Second City, and Groundlings and stand up. Yeah. From about 20 on. How did you learn to edit at 12? That's amazing. I don't know. My dad bought me an editing system because I was always filming. And I just had a knack for it. Even from the beginning, I knew what shots and where to cut and what would look good. And it was just something that was really fun for me. Because I think I was alone. I didn't have to fit in. I was able to just be. And I've always kind of had that where I know how I want a shot to go. I know how I want the timing to be. Timing is everything. And yeah, I think I watched the instructional video because there was no YouTube at the time of how to edit, and then I edited, and I loved putting I remember I watched the OC at the time, and I would put all their soundtracks over my movies just to make them you could feel them so much more. All my movies have OC One Tree Hill soundtrack in the background, and they're very dramatic, but then there are some comedy videos as well. I always love to make parodies.
And you do really good impressions.
Thank you.
Was Kristen Stewart the first one you did? Or had you been doing them a lot before you decided to do that, put that one up on Vine?
I had been doing them my whole life, but for nobody. Or my mom, I remember I was 6 and I came in and I was like, Mom, who am I? And I turned my head and I was like, and she goes, oh, that's Ryan from across the street. And she laughed so hard. And then I was like, oh. And then I would do little voices. And she always said, that's really good. So she kind of nurtured that a little bit. But I wasn't doing it professionally until I did it in my stand-up routine where I do Kristen Stewart is getting therapy advice from Kim Kardashian. And people liked that a lot. And then, I was on Vine. I had 200 followers. I didn't know getting followers was a thing at the time. And then someone was like, hey, put up your Kristen Stewart. And then I did. And overnight it had 10,000 views or something. And then I ended up having 500,000 followers in a month because I kept going. I kept doing the impression and other impressions and other videos. And then, that's how my internet stardom started.
Did that feel exciting at the time?
Oh my God, it was so fun. It was so fun waking up and seeing the 99 plus, and then it kept refreshing. And then yeah, all the views. I was like, people are seeing this? This is insane. Because in my mind as an actress, I'm like, the way that I'm going to make it is probably just, I'll do like 3 co-stars and then 5 guest stars. And then eventually I'll get in this room. Like I had no idea what I was doing. So to get that and to have that happen was crazy. And it was way better because then I was able to just be myself and film anytime I wanted. And it brought back that childhood sense of wonder of like, ooh, I love filming. I remember I love filming and now I get to do it. It's so cool.
And did the Vine stardom open doors, lead to things, etc.?
It led to Funniest Wins, which was the hit show on TBS.
Yes.
It led to that. It led to, I made a feature film. I didn't make it. Sorry. I was in a feature film created by my father. It's called Holiday Breakup. And I starred in that and I was able to have all my Viner friends in it. And that's been on Netflix a few years in a row during the holidays. It's always during the holidays. I started working with brands like Amazon and T-Mobile and dozens of others. I started going on trips. Like I worked with Disney, went to Australia and Shanghai to the premiere and met all these actors and other influencers. And yeah, it definitely led to opportunities. I thought it would lead to me being a movie star. It hasn't yet. So we're still waiting.
Yeah. Any day now. Any day now, people are going to see those Vines.
I think they're just all intimidated by my wisdom.
I think so.
They're like, she's just too much. She's going to shine the light on all our darkness.
That's right. I'm not ready for her to see inside.
Yeah.
Were you sad when Vine went kaput?
Yeah, but it was like a delayed sadness. I think I had it in my head months before. I was like, this can't last. But that was more on a personal thing of like, this success can't last. Not so much the app. I didn't think that the app would just literally vanish. So I was sad. I think the sadness came later when I realized, oh, I'm not going to be seeing these people anymore that I collaborated with every day, because just creating Vines is such a different game beast than creating YouTube videos or whatever. And it just kind of felt like everybody went their own way because we were growing up. And so, yeah, the sadness also hit later because I realized I lost 3 million followers. Like, where are they? I didn't do what some of the people did, which was follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, follow me here. Go to I didn't cross promote enough, which I obviously regretted because, all those followers are just out in the ether. But TikTok came around. Thank God for that. It's a lot of fun.
I'm the only human being not on TikTok. I know I need to get on TikTok. I had an account and then I erased it, and I need to get back on there. But is TikTok your Vine now?
I'd say so. I mean, I'm older now. I have a different sense of humor, or a little bit different. TikTok is so much more than just comedy, where I felt like Vine was so comedy heavy. And TikTok is just for everybody. And I love it now. Whereas I was really resistant at the beginning of the pandemic. I was like, I'm not doing TikTok. It's for lip syncers. That's not talent. All high and mighty about it. And then I was like, well, there's nothing else to do. So I'm just going to download it and I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And yeah, it's going better than Instagram. So I love it. And I feel like it's a nicer community. I feel like everybody, even the app itself is more user friendly. Like they'll boost your posts, whereas Instagram, I've been on it since 2013 and I have half the following there than I do on TikTok. It's ridiculous.
You have almost 1 million followers though on Instagram. So you have like that, double that on TikTok?
I have double on TikTok.
Wow. Tony, are you on TikTok? Wow.
I am not. I think I'm one of the few also not. I've looked at it in like kind of when it was pretty new and I was confused by it initially.
It takes like some browsing for like a couple days to really get it.
Yeah.
I think you guys should be on it.
I'm going to get on TikTok and I'm going to exclusively do millipede content. It's what the world needs from me. I mean, there's different colors. I've been Googling what that means. So far, I haven't found anything, but I don't know. I'm like, are some, light because they're babies? Does it have to do with what they're eating? How utterly disgusting.
You could just film them and then give them a voice.
Yes.
and like narrate what they're up to and what they're really thinking. That could be a cool TikTok page.
See, you just know how to do it. You should be a consultant for the millipedes.
Just for the millipedes.
Just for the, yeah, you're changing their image. Listen, you guys, as the world becomes increasingly uncomfortable, we're all looking for as much comfort as we can get. And the one thing I can always count on is how comfortable a Purple mattress is. For anyone who's watching this on YouTube, I'm holding up a sample of the Grid, which is this gel-like material that, okay, Manon grabbed something off cam, and I thought you were going to hold up your Purple Grid too. And I was like, oh my God, you have one too? But it was just a cup of water. But still, I still felt very connected in that moment. Listen, you guys, Purple is comfort reinvented. Only Purple has the Grid, a stretchy gel material that's amazingly supportive for your back and legs while cushioning your shoulders, neck, and hips. I don't know how it does it, but it's just fantastic. Here's the deal. The Grid doesn't trap air. This is especially important right now because it is boiling in Los Angeles. And the forecast for next week is utterly depressing. Air circulates and flows through the Grid, so you'll never overheat. The Grid bounces back as you move and shift. And right now, you can try your Purple mattress risk-free with free shippings and returns, and financing is available too. Purple really is comfort for an uncomfortable world. Right now, you get 10% off any order of $200 or more. Go to purple.com/bestfriend10 and use promo code bestfriend10. That's purple.com/bestfriend10, promo code bestfriend10 for 10% off any order of $200 or more. Purple.com/bestfriend10, promo code bestfriend10. Terms apply. I also want to tell you guys about BetterHelp. Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Whether you're struggling with anxiety or depression, need help with relationships, or are having difficulty meeting your goals, online therapy might be right for you. BetterHelp helps you assess your needs to match you with a professional licensed therapist. You can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. BetterHelp also is more affordable than traditional therapy, or can be more affordable than traditional therapy. And if you feel like your first therapist maybe is not the right match for you, you can change as many times as you want without any charge. So I know that it can be daunting to start up therapy right now. You might be feeling like, well, what if it doesn't feel right? What if I don't, all the, fears and doubts and anxieties that I think are pretty standard when you're starting therapy. Do not worry. They got you. They will get you to the right person as many times as you want. It's more convenient and more affordable than in-person therapy, and financial aid is available. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/bestfriend. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/bestfriend. Again, that's betterhelp.com/bestfriend. Okay. And we are back. So your book, funny how it works out. You mentioned the pandemic in the book. When did you start writing it?
January 2020.
Okay, so just before the pandemic.
Yeah, I was on Facebook Live, and I think someone wrote a comment that said, you should write a book, because I was talking about my brilliance and the knowledge that I have that's more than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to write a book. And then an indie publisher reached out and was like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. And then we wrote it like very quickly. Wrote it meaning like he supported me and gave me dates and everything like that. Like, if left to my own devices, I'm not just going to write a book and sit down. But he would be like, okay, I need this and this and this by this date. So he really, really did more than just publishing. Mm-hmm. And then it came out 6 months later.
What was the process like for you?
It was hard. Wasn't easy. Parts of it were okay. I think I left a lot out. I kind of rushed it because sometimes I think it's just better to get it out there than like obsess about it and that it never getting out there. And so, reading it now, I'd be like, what about this? What about this? What about that? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. We can always do that in hindsight. But I think for the time frame that it was written, and it's fine. It's great. It's been fun. I feel like people are getting a deep dive into who I am, what I've been through, the way that I think. And that's been wonderful.
Mm-hmm. You, and you talk about this in the book, but I'm curious about the timing of this. You were married, and then like, how soon after the marriage did you find out that he was cheating on you?
We had our wedding, and then a month after, I found out that he was messaging other women naked photos.
Were you totally blindsided?
Oh, 100%. We spent every day together. He treated me like a queen. He was so kind, warm, loving. So when I found this out and I saw the screenshots of him sending nudes and nude videos and saying things like, you know, Manon's nothing. She's useless.
Oh my God.
You're my true love. Yeah, I love you. I'll be with you. I won't be with her forever. That's for sure. She's boring. She's not sexy. I'm about to blow up on the red carpet and I want you by my side. And I'm like, you've done one non-union commercial. I don't know what you're talking about. But he just said, I was just like, so. Yeah, I was like, okay, no. So clearly this man, I had no idea. I was like, his family flew in, like paid their earnings and their savings to fly to this wedding in Malibu from Scotland, from Australia. Like they all loved me. I loved them. He was so sweet. Like so my whole world flipped upside down when I found this out. But I believed it because I was looking at the screenshots and I was like, that's him. What the and every cell in my body, like I felt like it flipped or something. Like reality became like, what is reality? Like what's true? Like my whole, you know, I'm pretty sheltered and I wasn't raised with like, I have issues, but lying is not one of them. Like that's just not something that I think to do. I feel like it really affects the soul and it weighs heavy on a person or not if they're a sociopath, which maybe. But yeah, I just became aware of like how much pain this man must have been in to do what he did. And then, you know, later that night he admitted to everything and I proceeded to like, you know, sage and shower him for 48 hours because he was sobbing nonstop. And I realized like, oh, he's not okay. And then I, you know, kicked him out and I was like, I need to take care of myself because who did I marry? So yeah, it was pretty awful. The worst thing that ever happened to me because we had such a fairy tale start to our story and I thought he was my person. I mean, the day I met him, I was like, oh, that's the man I'm going to marry. And it was really like easy and we didn't have any fear. We just went straight into it, you know, but it was, you know, now looking back, I'm like, yeah, we moved pretty fast. We got engaged after 4 months and had our wedding almost 2 years after we met. Which is not that bad, but
that's really not. I mean, like, that's not that fast.
Yeah, it could have been way faster.
Right.
But it also could have been way longer.
Yeah.
But I felt like that's what he was doing. To be honest with you, like, I left a lot out in the book because I still had so much consideration for him. And I was like, I don't want to write about this, like, oh, let's bash this guy. Like, yeah, I'll say what he did quickly. But my point is that the reason and how I got through it is that I didn't take it personal. I realized that hurt people. And I'm going to continue keeping my heart open regardless of how one man treated me, which I think a lot of people shut their heart off and they generalize and they go, oh, all men are bad. So therefore I'm never going to date again. And that I was just like, this is not, a lot is about me, but this isn't like this. And then I found out after the book came out that like he was doing it the whole freaking time. The man, like, I think he conned me. Like I found out all sorts of stuff that I really didn't need to know about. But it solidified that I made a good decision in walking away. Cause I tried, like we went to therapy after, like, even though everyone's like, no, like this is way too soon. Like you don't have kids, like you just got, but I was like, but I married him and maybe this is his sickness. He wants to get better, but he just said whatever I wanted to hear, you know?
How did you remind me how you met him?
We met on Instagram. I saw him he was visiting LA while I was living in New York. And I saw him in one of my friend's Instagram stories. And I was like, who is that? Who is that? I feel like I know him. That's so weird. And then I went to his page. And then I went to send him a message and saw that he already written me 18 months before.
That kinship that you felt with him right away, how do you regard that now?
Well, part of it is that I feel like he looks a lot like Ewan McGregor, who imprinted on me when I was really little in Moulin Rouge. And so I just was like, like the way he looks occurred to me as trust. So I look at it a very like neurological standpoint of like, okay, he has a dark voice. He looks me in the eye when I speak to him. He's really present. He has an accent. He's hot. He must be trustworthy. So like, I never thought like, first of all, I never thought about marrying anybody that I'd really dated before. Like I never took it seriously. So when I was having these experiences, I took it as at face value. Like this is what it is. I didn't like question it. I also didn't have a very good vetting system. So I think honestly, that was my lesson throughout all of this was like, I needed to, cause there were moments throughout the relationship as it went on where my body would kind of retract or I would kind of give him this look when he would say things. And we always just chalked it up to like, I'm an oddball. Never, oh, I'm questioning you and your realness, which in hindsight now I go, oh, that's why I was so, my body would like close off sometimes to him and try to protect itself. Like the body doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. Like if all else fails, what is your body saying? Because it's just so much smarter than the mind. But he was a wordsman, like wordsmith. I don't know what to call it. He was just so good with his words. Like, so I always put his words. Yeah. I always put his words above my feelings,
right?
Which is something I needed to learn how to listen to myself over anybody else. And so I kind of think I manifested some sort of, I don't know, like I think I was just, must have been delusional or something and just not looking at painting red flags white, you know?
What kinds of things would elicit that recoil in you? Or are you just the withdrawn, the energy closing in you?
He said that my hands, he saw in his dreams when he was a child.
I'm sorry. Is it poetic and beautiful? Please keep going.
Well, at the time, I'm like what? This is the day he met me in person because we FaceTimed for like 5 days before this. But he said, like, he looked at my hands. He goes, "Those are the hands." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I saw those in my dreams. And every girl I've dated, I looked at their hands and they're never the hands. And those are the hands." I was like, "Oh my God." But I also like wanted it to be true. So I, at the time was like, yeah, like I like, how would I get the thought when I saw him too? And I thought, that's my husband. Why did I get that thought? Or did I know like, no, I'm going to marry him. He will be my husband, just not for long. Like I didn't hear, oh, that's my soulmate. Oh, that's the man I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. I heard that's the man I'm going to marry. So like, I always wonder about that kind of thing, you know?
Right. So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and then, you know, the times where he would be really like in my face, kind of being like, "Manon, you're the most amazing person I've ever known. And I've never felt a love like this." Then you know, that's when I would kind of be like, "But I just met you a week ago," you know? But I was like, I am amazing and you do love me and I love you too. And let's go, you know, like I just hadn't been hit very hard yet. I hadn't been cheated on yet in my life. So I was very trusting of men and my relationships and people who loved me and all these things. And I think I needed that kind of like, no, people lie and you're not that special kind of kick in the butt.
Well, you know, I think you make a good point though, which is we grow up with these fantasies of how it's going to be when we meet the one. And so then when you meet someone who is trying to seduce you and trying to sweep you off your feet and it is moving fast and it feels intense, there is a temptation to go, oh, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. This is what it's supposed to be like.
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, I can't believe all this hard work of working on myself and spirituality and all these classes that I've taken and all the work. Like I can't believe it. Like God does love me because he brought, or it brought, whatever it is, brought this man. And I got that feeling of like, you know, when you know, that people would talk about. And I was like, I can't believe I'm getting my own little fairy tale. Like, it always felt too good to be true. Mm-hmm. But like, I just accepted it, you know, and it's not like we were spending every second together. So it's like the only time we weren't together was when he was in the shower doing you know what. So it's like, I want to take so much responsibility for my part. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I have, because I could have done so much better as far as like, you know, pausing, being more patient, not having him stay with me the first week he came. You know, I was like, of course he's going to stay with me. He's my husband.
Yeah.
But like, now I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, no, if you want to be with me, you'll wait, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Things that I just didn't really do before. I was like, none of this matters. When you know, kind of thing. And so what were we saying?
I was just talking about the like fairy tale aspect of it. But
oh yeah. Well, yeah, and he met my mom before he met me.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, he did all these things that seemed like no other guy would do that unless they were serious. Like,
right.
He had a coffee. My mom lived in California at the time, and she knew that, you know, my husband was coming, as I would like to say it. And she goes, I mean, should I meet him first? And I was like, no. And then I told him that she said that, and he goes, oh, I'd love to. And they had a 2-hour coffee, right? And so like my whole family was like, he's your person. We would dance the same in clubs. Like he was literally born the day my parents got married to the year. So there was all these signs that were like, he's literally,
right.
He was born for me kind of thing. And so when this happened, when I got this news, I was just like, what? They're like, I'm smart. Like I don't miss this. Like what? Like he was good kind of thing. He wasn't just like, I'm just gonna, you know, like it was almost like he planned the whole thing out a long time ago. I hate to say that because it's kind of creepy, but
that's what I was going to say is that the thing that my brain is like, the whole thing is like making my mind explode. But what I keep thinking about is the fact that you had a good relationship with him. That's what makes this very movie of the week. Like, it wasn't like it was a fraught relationship and blah, blah, blah. But like, you were happy with him and this was going on. That's what's so chilling about it.
Yeah. People will be like, well, you just got to be aware of narcissists. And then, so I listened to a book called Psychopath Free. And they were saying, they put you down. They reel you in and then they put you down and like, I have no bad memories with him.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be like, I mean, there's like one that like is bad, like, but it was after I found out, you know? So like those aren't going to be pleasant because I'm so angry and like, how could you? But prior to that, no, like we had such great communication. Anytime anything would come up, I'd be like, okay, I have feelings to express. He goes, what is it? And I'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just, you know, I've learned how to like not blame people, but to take responsibility for how I feel. And so he'd be like, I hear you. And that's all right. And, you know, like, that's a terrible accent, but like, like we had, in my opinion, great communication. We were very goofy, very loving, cute, deep. So yeah, it wasn't your traditional, you know, I think there was like a show, Dirty John or something like that. Where it's like he hit me and nobody knew and he yelled at me and he put me down. No, all he said to me ever was, you're a star, you're a light worker, you're beautiful. And so that's why it was so confusing to be like, well, then what are you doing?
Right.
Then what's going on? And I've always made it a safe place for you to come to me if you're ever feeling antsy or whatever. But a person's, I don't know. So like, there's nothing, he's still doing what he's doing. He's still going off and doing this. And I know this because women who've just recently dated have messaged me saying, hey, you know, I just got out of a relationship with your ex-husband and he really messed me up and I'm in therapy because of it, because he yelled at me and blah, 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 and all these things. And I'm like, oh crap. So like, he doesn't want to change.
Right. But he yelled at them and interesting.
That I was like, oh, well, he didn't yell at me. So. My name is tattooed on his chest, so I must have been a little bit more special than. I mean, this is a terrible way to look at it, but I was more sad that like he's not learned. I don't know. He doesn't seem to want to change, that's the missing. That's like the key ingredient,
right,
to cause change is the person has to want it.
Do you like hearing from these women now?
No. But I know that it happens for a reason. Like I needed to hear from a couple of them to really, because, you know, after everything, after the therapy, I was like, that's okay. We can still be friends. You know, I was very like, it's hard for me to stay mad at people. I don't have the thing where I hold grudges for too long. Like I just like, I see both sides of everything. I was like, oh, I get why he does this. He doesn't feel like he's enough. And he's reaching out to these women because they make him feel powerful. Like I could see where he was going. But I think I needed to hear. So one last thing is the second day we FaceTimed, he sent me a song and he said, just listen to it. Let me know what you think. And I listened to the song and I was like, oh, that's our wedding song. I sent that to him. I texted him, that's our wedding song, like a crazy person. And he immediately wrote back and said, I know it is. That's why I haven't shared it with a single soul. I've saved it for us. And guess what? It was our wedding song. We danced to it at our wedding.
What was it? A song he had written, or like it's a popular song that not other people have heard?
People have heard it. It's not a song he had written. It's just a song, but it's not. I didn't know it prior to that.
Do you not want to say what it was?
No.
Okay.
Maybe after. And this woman, after the book came out, said, hey, I just read your book. The part about your marriage was like reading my exact experience with your ex-husband because I dated him for a year in 2016. And I know you don't name the song in the book, but I'm going to guess it's this song because that was to be our wedding song. So that's when I lost consideration for him because I realized, oh, this is just like, that was something I was like, oh, so he lied to me day 2.
Right.
Telling me he had never showed that song. Like, dude, this is he has a strategy. He'll show the song. He'll say all these nice things. He'll love bomb. He'll, just try to, so that's when I was kind of like, oh, I don't need to be friends with this person. It's actually better for me to like step back and send him love from afar. But like, I don't need to be interacting with this person.
It all sounds traumatic.
Very, yeah. It's very traumatic. I have a good, floor weeping moment once a month because of it. I mean, but it's also during my period, so I don't know. But there used to be like a lot, like after I was just crying a lot. Now it's fine. It's been, a year and a half. I don't know.
Did any of your friends have any qualms about him? Or did anyone around you see anything?
No.
Wow.
And yeah, no, they were all like, oh my God, we love him. Like, it wasn't, you're like, don't do it, man. And I was like, I have to. And then I regretted it. It was literally like everybody loved him. It wasn't until after that, like 3 people spoke up and were like, you know what? Something did feel off. And my dad, he was devastated. I'm his only child and I'm his only girl. So he was pissed because he just spent all this money on this wedding and he cares so much about me and blah, blah, blah. And he was just so angry. He said, I knew it was too good to be true and I should have said something. So like, it's in hindsight that people are able to kind of start seeing the past again. Right? Because like we overlook it. And then in hindsight, we're like, oh yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
Right. Have you dated since / are you open to dating again?
Yes, I'm in a relationship right now.
Oh, look at that. You survivor, you.
Yes. And it's great to have the reference to the past guy because this guy, my body is just like, yes, like I trust you. I feel lighter. Like, don't get me wrong. I've been in relationships plenty, but it's just really nice to know that the universe had something far better planned. And that, the universe took out, I say the universe, you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Took out this man, con artist man, before the pandemic. Because imagine going through that during the pandemic would have been, I just feel like timing was fine and it worked out. And yeah, I'm very much in love right now. He's wonderful.
Is he in the room? Is it the guy that set up your microphone?
Yeah.
Well, he seems very nice and he knows his way around some audio equipment.
He comes in handy. Yeah, we became friends first, which is always good. I think that's always good because then you're not like trying to manipulate by telling all your best line. You know what I mean? Like when you become friends, you can be a certain way around someone and it's easy. And we really, you know, there's just things that have happened in this relationship that I can now have reference to the other one. It's really good. And yeah, I'm really happy with him.
And do you say his name?
Whose name?
I mean, like, is it public?
My boyfriend?
Yeah.
It's not public.
It's not public.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is a hot scoop.
I know. I'm sure some people could figure it out and find it out. It'll be public at some point. My last relationship was so public and I felt like I took everybody on this romantic journey and then to have it kind of blow up like that was just, I mean, I didn't post about our separation until we were literally separated. But people were like, where's your husband? Didn't you just get married? Where is he? Where is he? And it was just like, yeah, because it was so soon after the wedding. And so I would just like be alone in my, Instagram stories. And I don't know, I just kind of felt dumb, even though I'm not dumb. And I know that. I was just embarrassed that I took everybody on this ride. So I'm just doing it differently this time of like, I'm just going to keep this private for as long as I can. So I'm not adding any fluff to it. Right? Like it was a lot when people were like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. Like thousands and thousands. So it built up this relationship rather than what I have now, which is nobody's putting their input, you know?
Yeah.
And it's nice because I get to figure out how I feel about it rather than how other people feel about it.
That makes perfect sense. You know what else makes perfect sense? Scrubs that are ridiculously soft and engineered with athletic apparel functionality. I'm talking about Figs. These are innovative, comfortable, and supremely functional scrubs. Every set is made with technical comfort to blend design, comfort, and performance. Fig's mission is to make awesome scrubs so healthcare professionals can look, feel, and perform their best. Now, when my sister was in the hospital having her baby, she had to go in a couple of days early, and I visited her there. It was a little bit of it felt like I'm not going to go into her medical details. I'm just going to say I was noticing that the scrubs that the people in the room were wearing were like very stylish and they fit very well. And I was dying to say, are those Figs? However, I knew they would just be like, get her out of here. So I didn't say it. But if anyone was in my sister's room around the time she had her baby last year, I've lost track of time. I'm still wondering, were those Figs? I think they were. I feel like I recognized that special antimicrobial Silvadur technology. So many pockets. And by the way, you guys, they don't only make scrubs. My husband has a very comfortable, very pocket full, not a word, but there's a lot of pockets, hoodie that I've borrowed before. It's warm. It's comfortable. It's got all the pockets he needs. They have other stuff. They have Fion technology. That's their thing. It's an innovative fabric technology from the fiber up. If you are one of the awesome humans who work in healthcare, Figs wants you to wear the scrubs you deserve and enjoy 15% off your first order. And if you're not working on the front lines, thank someone who is with the best scrubs in the world. Figs will give you 15% off too. Use code BESTFRIEND15 at checkout. Head to WearFigs, that's WearFigs.com, and enter my code BESTFRIEND15 at checkout. Again, that's WearFigs.com, code BESTFRIEND15 at checkout. Get ready to love your scrubs. Okay, I think we should do some Just Me or Everyone. This is a segment where people write in with things they think or do, and they wonder, is it just me or is it everyone? If you have one, please tweet it to @ARIYNBF. That's Allison Rose, your best friend. Use the hashtag JMOE.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Okay. Let me switch to, okay. All right. Amy Christensen says, when fast forwarding commercials, I see one for another show I watch and press stop thinking that's the show I was watching. No, I don't think I do that. But I get what she's saying, but I don't do that. Do you guys do this?
Yeah, I get it, but I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm streaming anything. That sounds like more like a DVR move, and I don't
Right.
have one of those anymore.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't watch commercials.
Yeah, we need to get that figured out, Amy. Chalet says, sometimes when I eat a mediocre meal, I imagine that I'm in a situation where I'm starving, like I just walked through a snowstorm and reached shelter where warm food was placed in front of me. It's my attempt to trick my brain into thinking it's satisfying. That's so good.
Oh my God.
I don't
Yeah,
do that.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't either, but that's perfect. That's brilliant. I should do that.
Yeah. I know that my husband and Wendy, who comes on the show, they've both talked about, or maybe I just talked about the fact that Daniel does this. When you're having a tough day with your kids, thinking if it was the end of your life and you were allowed, I think what Wendy does is like if you were allowed to, relive any day, you would jump at the chance to have more time with your kids when they're little as a way to sort of get you into a mindset of gratitude as opposed to just being frustrated by little cranky people. Let's see. Bex says, I am so bad with names. I wish that novels had a character glossary so that whenever a name is mentioned throughout the story, I can refer to the glossary and recall who the fuck the author is talking about. That I need that. And especially when books give two characters similar names, it's like you're making it up. You couldn't make these a little more different.
Yeah, I support this idea.
Yeah. Manon, do you have one of your own?
Does showering ever feel like a drag to you?
Yes. Yes.
It's kind of a lot.
Well, this comes up on the show. We all know that Tony takes a shower right away and he wears shoes all the time. That's why he's the bad boy of podcasting. But yeah. My showers are getting fewer and far betweener in the pandemic. Like, I think of myself as someone who's a daily shower person, but it turns out I can let it ride a little longer than that.
Same, and I have a pool. I mean, it's a saltwater pool, so there's not like a ton of chlorine or anything.
But still,
sometimes I'll just go in the pool and I'm like, that's fine.
Like meat and stuff is cured with salt. So I feel like you are cleansing yourself with salt water. That's very much the same.
Yeah, I wash my hair like once a week, if that. It's just a lot to do. It's just hard. I have trouble motivating because I'm like, but I'm so comfortable in my filth right here. So it's hard. We have hair. We have a lot of hair.
We do.
That adds a lot. Like if I didn't have a head of hair, I'd be like, oh, that's fine. I'll just jump in the shower. But it's a whole thing when you're like, okay, I have to shampoo, condition, brush it, dry. The
drying of it.
I'm tired thinking about it.
Yes, but I find that a shower where I don't wash my hair, it's not the same. I mean, it's functional. But it doesn't. I don't feel nearly as refreshed and wide awake. So I probably wash my hair more than I should.
Because you want the water hitting your head. Otherwise, it feels like you're just like kind of rinsing off, and it doesn't give you the refreshed feeling.
Tony, do you see your male privilege? Do
you
see what it has afforded you?
I do. Yeah. No, I can understand why it's because I've had longer hair before, not anywhere as long as your guys's, and it's definitely more annoying when my hair is a little longer. So I can understand why that's more of a thing.
Tony, when you do your right away daily shower, do you wash your hair in the shower? Do you just let it get wet? Do you not do any of that?
No,
what do you do?
Honestly, I don't wash my hair very often.
Like how often?
Once every couple weeks, probably.
Whoa! And you have majestic, thick hair.
But you get it wet, right?
Yeah, I get it wet.
Yeah. So you rinse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it gets wet every time, but yeah, I don't actually wash it all that often.
Do you put product in it?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't wash
it
that
very
often.
much. No. Wow. It's kind of been this way for a while. I used to be paranoid about I've straight up like asked ex-girlfriends or something like, does my hair stink? Am I fine? And no one has ever said that they've noticed anything.
Tony is a professional drummer. He's a member of the band Motion City Soundtrack. When you're touring, because I've seen videos of you, I know you sweat, and I don't mean that and it's an insult. It's just a fact.
No,
When that happens, are you washing your hair more often?
No.
Whoa! This is really wild and crazy.
Bad boy,
this is like, I remember when I learned that my dad doesn't use shampoo. He just rinses his hair. I mean, I think maybe he uses shampoo now and again, but not frequently. My old producer, Jeff, used to style his hair with a bar of soap, which still mystifies me because like, what if it rains and then there's just soap dripping down your face? Men and their grooming. I tell you. Okay. Krista Lorenz says, wait, have I already done this one? When going through a drive-through, I get embarrassed if I have to order face-to-face with an employee. I prefer to order into the speaker, less guilt over what I'm getting. Does that ring a bell?
No, this doesn't sound familiar to me.
Okay. Wait, when do you ever order with a person?
Sometimes like In-N-Out will do that now. Sometimes they'll have like a person outside with like an iPad kind of thing, and they'll come and take your order.
Oh yes,
further back in the
Starbucks.
line.
Starbucks, I think, does that sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally have this, but I totally get where it's coming from.
Yeah, same.
I'd say same as well. I don't ever think that the person's going to judge.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't think when I'm going to drive-thrus, I'm ordering anything too crazy. It's when I would go to the donut store, that's when I would kind of get embarrassed. Because it would, like, if you're eating your feelings, you're going to just, like, project that onto anybody taking your order, I think.
Like, what was your donut store order?
The donut store? You know, the donut store. I would get an apple fritter maple bar, and then it's like a donut with a hole in its pink
Is it strawberry? Dressing. I love a donut with extra dressing. Frosting.
Frosting. Yeah, that was like the more cake kind of one. It had like pink frosting with sprinkles. So I'd get all three of those when I was feeling things that I didn't know how to process.
Was your donut store Dunkin' Donuts?
No, that was before. Dunkin' Donuts just came here, didn't it? This was like years ago. I don't do this anymore. Got it. I've healed it with hypnosis.
I wanted to ask you, it's my last question, unless I think of others. You have a certification in neuro-linguistic programming, right?
Yes, 2.
What is that? And what motivated you to do that?
I actually did it before Vine. So I quit my waitressing job at Daily Grill and then became certified in NLP because this woman did it on me without me kind of knowing really what it was. And I remember she did it one night and I was like tearing up in the meditation or hypnosis. And I felt really good for like a month. And I was like, what? But I didn't know why I felt so good. And then this woman was like, oh yeah, because I did this. You can get certified with me if you'd like, and I'll give you a scholarship and all this stuff. And I did it. And I honestly believe that was like what started my success, I should say. Like I did it as like, oh, I'm going to have a parallel career. Like if acting doesn't work out, I'll just be a NLP practitioner and help people, because so much power is in the unconscious mind. And so, you know, hypnosis sounds like this like kind of weird thing, but it really is just tapping into the unconscious mind, which is where all of our behavioral patterns lie, as well as beliefs. And we're functioning from those. And so if we don't take care of those, we're not going to have a different experience, because you can say affirmations all day. Like a person knows, oh, I don't want to smoke, and they're still doing it. Or like, I know I need to lose weight and just eat less, but here I keep going. So it's like knowing isn't enough. It's getting to the unconscious mind and figuring out what program are they running off of and how can they find something different that's more effective.
Go ahead.
And I got so fascinated with that. I was just like, this is, oh my God, why doesn't everybody know? They should teach us in high school when we're even younger. Is like, how do we talk to ourselves? Because what we say to ourselves is literally everything.
And so if you had become a neuro-linguistic practitioner, does that mean, like, what would the treatment sessions have been like? Is it done under hypnosis?
Yeah, it could be. Mainly, I would say yes. You would come to me and say, hey, I'd like to stop overeating. Or I'd like to believe that I'm worthy of X, Y, or Z. Or most people would do that and pay that kind of money, because at least if you wanted to like get him fix a problem with the person that I got. She charged like $3,000 or something crazy.
Wow.
But it's fixed. So like something that torments a person for their life. Like for me, I got lucky and I was like in a session with her because I was in a class. And so she needed someone to work on. Mm-hmm. So I raised my hand because overeating was like a huge issue. And that trickled into alcohol too, where it's just like, if I can't eat the whole box of Oreos, I don't want to do it.
Like all or nothing.
Yeah, all or nothing. And she did like one 10-minute exercise on me and like figured out, I can't even remember what she did, but she figured out why I was functioning like that and then fixed it and made my unconscious mind satisfied with just one. So now I can't have an Oreo and be like, great. And I actually can't believe that that's the case. And it's been the case for 6 years where I'm like, you know what? That would have been worth $3,000 because that tormented me. Anytime I would eat all 3 donuts or a box of whatever, I would feel so shitty after, like not just physically, but I'd be like, what's wrong with me? That person can eat too. So it actually is worth it because it opens up so much when you don't even have to think about how much you're eating or when you're eating and all these things. And that's just, some people would go and they'd be like, hey, I need to figure out how I can, I have OCD and I wash my hand 200 times a day and it's, they're bleeding, and they would come and then we'd talk about it and then probably put them in hypnosis, and it might take one treatment or it might take, 5, but
I need this woman's number.
I'll give it to you.
So you got the 2 certifications. Did you actually do any practicing of it?
I did on myself, and at the time I was doing it on some friends and family.
Mm-hmm. Did they know?
Yeah. Because I would ask them. I said, hey, I need to practice this. Can we?
The idea with it is that you're using specific words and things to talk directly to someone's subconscious, right? Can it be used without the person's knowledge? Or is that like practicing dark arts?
Yeah, I mean, we take an oath that we're not going to use it in that way. I think people who are salespeople use it naturally when they're like, you're going to love this car. You're going to be so happy that you bought it. And the person's like wondering why they're talking so weird. But then they're unconscious like, oh, I love it. Okay. So, it could be used as a dark art. I mean, that's how I got married. I feel like that guy totally used it on me I'm like, how did I not see this?
Right.
So I don't think people use it. I think they only use it for, I don't know.
I always wonder, this is not the same, but I always wonder when you're like checking out of a grocery store and the clerk says, did you find everything you were looking for? And I feel like 99.9% of people say yes, even though like probably no, I didn't. But what am I going to do? Have you call someone to go find a specific item at this point? Now, no. And I always wonder, is that some kind of like psychology where you'll walk out of the store thinking like, I found everything I wanted because you agreed that you found everything you wanted. I'm probably overthinking it. Maybe
were you going to say jujitsu?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that some sort of jujitsu? Probably. I think the people that say it are just told to say it and they don't know why they're saying it. But yeah, that's very, that's kind of a form of NLP of it, presupposing someone has, found what they're looking for. And then they walk out going, I found everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a form of it.
And my editor at the OC Weekly, any experience you had, he would go, how was it? Was it great? And I remember thinking, well, it was good, but it wasn't great. I feel like that actually backfired the way it was like he insisted everything was great.
Well, so listen, we're all programming each other every day, all the time. We don't know it. So when I say, when you eat a box of donuts and now all of a sudden, because I said you may be thinking about doing that when that's not what I meant. What I meant to say was, when I do this, I'm having a hard time, but we say you all the time, which is called doing a you directive. And we could be programming each other all the time, which is kind of what we did in the pandemic when we're like, you're going to get sick and you're going to do it. It's like, no. Let's not take in what everybody else's fear is. Let's talk to ourselves so kindly, be so loving, and leave people better than when we found them. Right. And so if I say something of like, oh my gosh, you're glowing and you'll be fine. You have a strong immune system. The person might go, what does she know? Why does she think it doesn't matter? Their unconscious heard it and went, okay. So like, I'll use it and sprinkle it in places I always make sure that I actually mean it. Otherwise it'll come across kind of like weird. But either way, like I now am more aware of using negative language around a person because I don't want to program them in a negative way. But I think we should all learn this because people are bleeding all over other people and infecting them with their fear. And it needs to stop it.
I feel like doctors never have told me I'm glowing. And I would have liked to hear it.
Doctors are terrible. Like, I had a doctor just recently. Of course, that would have been amazing. You're glowing. Anyone wants to hear that.
Yeah.
I had a doctor who clearly didn't know NLP, and he comes in, he goes, so bad news. And I'm like, what? He goes, your thyroid, it should be at a 5. I mean, it should be at a 4, but it's at a 5. Very bad. And I was just like,
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. You came in telling me, I thought you were going to say something actually really bad. Yeah, that's what is exactly what popped through. It was not. I think what you meant to say was, hi, so interesting things. Your blood looks great. You're healthy, and you're a 4. It should be at a 5 or whatever the numbers are. So what are we going to do to fix this? Is this, but you're going to be in good shape. And then have me leaving feeling, okay, I know things need to be done, but like they need to be so careful. And some of them are just not.
That is, yeah. I have thyroid stuff as well, but I remember like the first test was the person was like, your thyroid is fine. We just want it to be in this zone.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you say anything to him?
Well, I mean, during it, I was just kind of like, I mean, that's not that bad. You said bad news.
Right.
I was just kind of like lightly dabbling it, but
yeah. I mean, it's really hard to say. I find it really hard to say anything to doctors, but.
Well, he was also, he didn't have the best English. Mm-hmm. So I took it also as like, well, maybe he just doesn't understand what he's saying to me.
Right.
He's just trying to get the words out. Cause he doesn't know
the nuance.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, sometimes I do pull people aside. I was like, hey, listen. So, and then I also have to know my place and be like, you know what? I don't have to try to like save. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I just get really tired and people find me annoying if I do that.
It's tough. I get it.
I don't want to be annoying. I want to be liked.
Same. So. Yes. Listen, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, letting me ask you personal questions, doing Just Me or Everyone, etc. I'm gonna, what is it called? A U diversion?
U directive?
I'm gonna do a U. You guys, when you're thinking about signing up for my Patreon, patreon.com/AllisonRosen, and then you do sign up, and then you're like, this was life-changing. I wish I had done this sooner. I love it. I love the bonus episodes. I love the Zoom parties. I love signing up at the level where I can text her and she'll text me back. I love watching the videos of the Thursday, etc. There's a lot of rewards that you are gonna love. Patreon. Oh, and I forgot the biggest one. If you would like a deal, if you sign up for a year subscription, an annual subscription, you get 2 months free. So it's 12 months for the price of 10. You can't afford not to unless you don't want to. Patreon.com/AllisonRosen. Also, if you like what you're hearing, please make sure you're subscribing or following or whatever the word is on your app of choice. Tell your friends, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show so much. And I do read all the comments. And also, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, shop my store. I'm an Amazon influencer. I've just been, I don't, shout it that much, but I'm telling you now, Amazon.com/shop/AllisonRosen, Amazon.com/shop/AllisonRosen. You can shop my podcast gear, makeup that I like, houseware stuff. I'm going to put Manon's book, Funny How It Works Out, in my store under books. Go find it.
Aww.
Yeah. Manon, tell everyone where to find you, what they should look out for, etc.
First of all, that was a great U directive. Well done.
Thank you.
You can now find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube under Manon Mathews with 1 N and 1 T. I have a podcast as well called Serious But Funny, BUTT. That book, Funny How It Works Out, is also available on audiobook, and I read it to you with my voice, and you can listen to it on a walk. And is that it? I don't know. I think that's all I got.
That might be. Let's see. Yeah, you. I think that's it. I think that's good. Tony, what about you?
At Tony Thaxton, Twitter and Instagram, and my podcast, Bizarre Albums, every Tuesday.
Manon, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you so much.
Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show? We had a good time